Hey guys, I'm Props, and today I'm going to be making a Gonk Droid from some produce packaging. So today's video is actually going to be the first video in a series of videos called Props from Packaging, where I just make props from packaging that I find and packaging materials that seem interesting to work with. And this is going to be an on and off series, so I'll upload a video of it whenever I find something interesting that I can use. So the first thing I did was found some produce packaging. These are actually from mushroom containers. You can use whatever ones you want and seem interesting. Then I went through and marked where I wanted to cut out a hole for the sensor parts of the Gonk Droid, and I just cut that out with some scissors and an X-Acto blade. And then I went through and cut some strips of cardboard and glued them in to make the resist area a little bit deeper. You want to wait a little longer before you apply the hot glue to the plastic, just because it could warp it if it's hot enough. I then added a strip to cover up the seam, and then I started to add on some details using some random bits of just whatever I can find that seems interesting to put on. It's really handy if you just collect a bunch of random parts to add on and replify whatever props you're working on. So I just keep a couple bins of just random junk to add on to whatever prop that I'm making. For this, I specifically saved up some keyboard keys to make some square panels on it, and then some plastic bolts and some wires and stuff to glue on and make it look all nice and technologically advanced. Some interesting pieces that I found to use were some old washers and then some round parts off of an old couch that I found actually, and I just added these on to random areas on the droid where there didn't seem to be a lot of details that I had placed, just to give it kind of a sentry port or like a plug-in area, and I just thought that added some extra detail to it. I also drilled out some holes for the feet just using my Dremel tool. You don't have to use a Dremel tool, but it really gives the best results when trying to make a circular hole, and it was almost the exact diameter that the pipe I had was. For some other details, you can also use old spray paint can lids and some super glue lids, and you can just chop off the actual nozzle part of the super glue and you get a really nice rounded shape on the top, and I actually used that for the main eye of the Gonk Droid, along with some squares that I cut out of some thin plastic sheets that I had from a previous project, and I just applied all of those with some hot glue and some tweezers just to put it on at the right spot. And the Gonk Droid doesn't have to look perfectly symmetrical, because I mean, it's really not. The original Gonk Droid was super weathered, and I mean, that's what I'm going for with my paint job. And then I went through and made the feet out of some cardboard, just cutting a hole in a rounded rectangle of cardboard. And I covered that up in some thin cardboard and recut out the hole. And then I went through and glued in some pipes to make the feet. I also drilled a hole through the feet and added in a bolt in each foot and made it level with the bottom of the foot just to give it some weight since this is pretty light. I then primered and then went through and did a black wash over the whole thing and added some spots of rust and a couple different layers of brown paint on it just to give it a nice surface texture. I also did some dry brushing with a old sponge and some cheap silver paint that I had, and that gave it a really nice paint chipping effect, or I guess rust chipping effect, and I think it turned out pretty good. Overall, I think this droid turned out pretty good. If any of you guys attempt making one of these, be sure to let me know that you are, so that I can share some of the photos that you guys made with the rest of the people watching these. Thanks for watching. If you guys don't mind subscribing, please do. See ya.